Correspondent's dinner. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. A lot of people mentioning that 100 journalists did die in Gaza, but they don't say who. Code Pink being assaulted at the event. Protesters out there protesting. And, of course, a comedian that wasn't too funny. Yes, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There was a time when media and journalism used to challenge the two-party system, made these politicians uncomfortable. But now they're intertwined and connected because their corporate overlords have bought all the media and own all the politicians. So that's why we got this lackluster neoliberal soup that we all must consume. Does it come as a surprise now that we see these people for who and what they really are? Case in point here. Let's go ahead and bring this up. I found this to be quite hilarious. Shout out to Comrade Missy for pulling this video. Right here. Every single person in this room is an enemy of the people. Free Assange. Let's talk about this.
At the Wall Street Journal, they are counting. For Moscow correspondent Evan Gerskovich, 396 days since he was jailed in Russia.
Now, they're talking about somebody who's jailed in Russia. Look, no journalist should be arrested or in jail, okay? And look, I am always going to question the Washington Post and New York Times, all these establishment jagoff outlets, but still, if everyone's going to be applauding for him, where's the applause for first name Julian, last name Assange?
The U.S. government has designated Evan as wrongfully detained. And Evan's parents and his family are with us tonight, and we are with you always. We remember Austin Tice, 4,276 days, nearly 12 years since he was kidnapped in Syria. His mother, Deborah, is with us. And Mrs. Tice, we are with you.
Hey, what about Stella Assange? Are you guys with her? Hold on. Hold on. FBI, open up.
And Mr. President, again, we humbly ask that you do everything you can to bring them home. Our profession can be perilous. Since October, about 100 journalists have been killed, most of those deaths in Gaza.
Most of those deaths in Gaza. Now, I got a very important question. Who did it? What happened? Who did that? Hello?
According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, around the world, more than 320 reporters imprisoned as of December, including an American with dual Russian citizenship, Alsu Kermayshev, who works for the U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty. She has been jailed in Russia since October.
Always goes back to Russia. But hold on. Discuss greets White House Correspondents' Dinner as Israel kills journalists in Gaza. Oh, that's what happened to those journalists. Okay, well, anyways, let's talk about it. On Saturday night, which is a great night, U.S. reporters and government officials, including President Joe Biden, will gather at the Washington Hilton Hotel, ooh la la, for the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner, a glitzy, humor-filled affair that has faced mounting boycott calls in recent weeks as Palestinian journalists in Gaza are targeted and killed by the Israeli military in appalling numbers. So those 100 journalists that redhead, that disappointing redhead brought up, who, a bird goes tweet and an owl goes, who killed them? Well, somebody did. Earlier this month, dozens of Palestinian journalists urged their American colleagues to spurn the invite-only event as an act of solidarity with us, your fellow journalists, as well as with the millions of Palestinians currently being starved in Gaza due to the Biden administration's continued political, financial, and military backing of Israel. One journalist, Mehdi Hassan from Zedo, has heeded the call. Well, all right, he did it. Hey. Can't get too angry at the guy unless he's doing it just to boost up his numbers for the almighty algorithm. I've attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the past 2 years. Oh, he did, he wrote. But he decided not to attend today's dinner, which is, to be clear, is hosted by DC journalists, not the White House, in solidarity with under fire Palestinian journalists in Gaza who have called for a boycott. According to the committee to protect journalists, at least 97 media workers, 92 of them Palestinian, have been killed in Gaza, Israel, Lebanon since October 7th. The Palestinian Journalist Syndicate puts the number higher at 125. Israel has killed over 10% of our colleagues. Oh, good Lord. So the International Federation of Journalists, an organization representing more than 600,000 media workers across 146 countries, endorsed the boycott on Saturday, as did the National Writers Union. Just want to pull up this article here, or this video here, because, the White House Correspondents' Dinner is supposed to be funny. It's here. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. It's hard to be even less funny than the current version of SNL, but he pulled it off. This is the opposite of comedy. This is straight up propaganda masquerading as comedy. George Carlin just puked in his grave. No, Jimmy, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. George Carlin didn't puke in his grave. What he's doing is he's laughing his ass off. What George Carlin is doing is he's up in heaven right now, setting up the biggest Broadway musical called I Told You So. And he's dancing. He's dancing in his grave. He's dancing in heaven. Hell, he's dancing in HELL. He's dancing all over. He's dancing all over the ethereal plane by saying I told you so. That's what George Carlin's doing. When he sees, when you see something like this, folks, listen. Hold on. This is how you know. Because Hardlands Media cares about its audience. To our wonderful, beautiful audience here at Hardlands Media, the video that we'll be playing is not funny. Viewer discretion should be advised because, well, your tits might fall off. Your cock might fall off because you'll be so bored. This isn't funny. This is pathetic. So let's go ahead and play this video. And you have been warned. Viewer discretion is advised.
And with my family in mind, I wanted to share one last thing with you before I go, and I wanted to share one thing with you, Mr. President, before I go. I lost my grandfather this year, as you alluded to, a firefighter, William Kelly. He's the reason that our son's middle name is William. He helped raise me growing up, and I would not be here today without him.
Sorry for the loss. I know the feeling, but still, this is... You're giving a tongue bath to a war criminal, okay? Somebody who's a jagoff politician who created this neoliberal nightmare that we're in. Anyways.
My grandpa was a firefighter on Staten Island for 40 years. To make extra money for his family, he was a substitute teacher, and he painted houses. And since it's Staten Island, I should point out it's not like the Scorsese Irishman painting houses.
Was that a joke? Ha 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 ha.
He was not a mafia hitman. He actually painted houses. The FBI is here. I don't want to start a whole thing.
Oh, don't worry. You're safe. As for Hardlands Media, due distance, RBN, hey, someday. FBI, open up.
My grandfather was another rare Irishman who didn't drink because he lost his father and his brother to alcoholism. And I swear, Mr. President, this is not an age comparison. You remind me of him.
Ew. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, that's not a good thing. No, it is not a good thing. And how is this funny? Come on, roast the president. Can't we just make fun of these people?
Remind me of his. And I will say he was 95 and he was still great at stairs. I think it's because he didn't try to run up them.
These freaking frauds, all of them frauds.
But the reason that I bring up my grandfather, and I don't know if you realize, Mr. President, but Staten Island firefighters are not normally your demographic. Staten Island voted about 70% for Trump in the last election, and the other 30% was for Giuliani.
That wasn't a joke. He just gave a statistic. He gave some numbers out. How is that fun? We are not rule. You look, man. Maybe AJ's onto something. First name Alex, last name Jay. I think he might be onto something. Maybe we are ruled over by reptilians. Okay, because that wasn't funny.
But Staten Island also sided with the British during the Revolutionary War. So we're not always on the right side of history. You remember.
Uh-huh. Ha ha ha.
But my grandfather...
Oh, God, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Sorry, folks. Anyways, but that was the White House Correspondent Dinner. However, there are many things that did take place at the Correspondent Dinner. Case in point, Code Pink getting assaulted. Let's go and play it.
White House Correspondents' Dinner in the Hilton Hotel, and actually had a room here. And I was standing here quietly with this sign and got so roughed up by the security and thrown out of the hotel. You journalists, come over here. Hello, journalists, come here.
See, now, Code Pink, that was your first mistake. You assume that they were journalists. What they are stenographers, all right? And what they are pundits who read their script. They're not journalists. You're way off on the mark on that one. That was your first mistake.
We're being assaulted for First Amendment right of free speech.
Second, you assume that they cared about free speech. They don't.
Help! Help us, please! Help!
It's again asking for help. No. What do you want them to do? You want some journalists to come in there with a microphone and say, "Hey, what's going on?" No, the cop's going to club them to death.
Help us! You better not be putting your hands on us. You better not be putting. Ah! Help! Help! Ow! Ow! Ow!
It's quite ironic because tonight was all about press freedom, and it seems like standing here with the sign is something that's a lot worse than 100 journalists in Gaza being killed.
I want to pull this video up here as well. This is just further commentary on this.
What just happened inside there?
Well, I was in there holding the sign and very quietly just wanting to be a testament to what's happening to the journalists in Gaza as people were leaving the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And they called the security, and then they called in the police, and then they told me that I was barred from the hotel for the next 5 years
5 years.
because of this poster.
I was told there are folks with Ukraine flags inside the hotel. Did you
They
see
weren't
that?
just Ukraine flags. They had Ukraine flags, and they had signs that said "Stand with Ukraine," and they had no problems.
You say 100 members of the press killed in Gaza. They're my colleagues, no question. Do you believe the people in that room consider the Gazan journalists colleagues?
No, I don't think they consider them colleagues. I don't think most of them don't care about them. I listened to the whole speech. No, there was one mention of the word Gaza, no mention of the word Israel the whole time.
Yeah, because those journalists just didn't die on their own. I want to pull up this video. This is from the protest that was happening at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Since they did mention Gaza and 100 journalists did die there, they just didn't say who did it. Now, the article that I pulled up for this segment does show who did it, mentions who did it, the IDF. But here is just in solidarity. And these are the journalists. Now, there was protests because here's the thing. What I actually do like out of this is you do see all these people in their fancy suit and ties show up to this event. Gee, where's AOC at? She should be down there. She should be like, you guys, don't say that about Joe Biden. I just endorsed him. He's got a really good soul and he's exceeding expectations. Guys, please endorse him. There's a little bit more to this. Hey, look, more White House correspondents, diners, diners, attending and being called out. Look how cat fancy they are. And these are also journalists too, by the way. Journalists, politicians. That person kind of looks like Hillary Clinton, but a cheap clone, but okay.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Thank you.
Since October, about 100 journalists have been killed, most of those deaths in Gaza,
Now, who did it? Who did it?
according to the Committee to Protect Journalists.
Of course, the 2024 election is in full swing. And yes, age is an issue. I'm a grown man.
Oh, Biden thinks he's a big boy. I'm a grown man. Say it again.
Full swing. And yes, age is an issue. I'm a grown man.
I'm sorry. Only reason why I'm laughing at that is because that seems like between a statement that would be brought up between a couple, like, the wife is yelling at the husband, maybe the husband did something stupid. He's like, I'm a grown man. You can't talk to me like this. I'm a grown man. Say it again, Biden. What are you?
Age is an issue. I'm a grown man. Running against a 6-year-old.
No, we got two senile old bats, two old men fighting over cold bowl of soup. Hey, let's have democracy in the chat here. Type 3 for Kit. This is a serious election. You keep on making fun of it. You are a complete jerk. These are serious people running for the highest office of the land. So show some respect, you awful man. Type 3 if that's your answer. Type 4, no, man. This is two old men fighting over cold bowl of soup. Cold bowl potato soup. We're grown-ass adults, and we have senile senior citizens running for the highest office of the land. We are sinking faster than a Titanic. Say it again, Biden. What are you again?
Age is an issue. I'm a grown man. Running against a 6-year-old.
جسر جوي متواصل من الأسلحة والأدوات العسكرية والطائرات تزودها أمريكا لإسرائيل مقابل قتل المزيد من الأطفال والنساء، ومن بين هؤلاء الشهداء 141 زميل صحفي، بينهم مصور مثل سامر أبو دقة مصور قناة الجزيرة، أصيب الزميل وائل الدحدوحي المراسل. استشهد 141 مصور وزميل لنا كانوا يعملون معنا. هذا الاحتلال الاسرائيلي قتلهم اما عن قصد اصرار وسبب اصرار وترصد، او قتلهم مع عائلاتهم حسب منازلنا كما شهد الجميع وشاهد الجميع هذه الحرب وما كلفته على الصعيد الصحفي.
Now, we all know the real truth. We all know the real answer. Those people at that White House Correspondent dinner don't give a single damn about any of those journalists that died in Gaza. And seeing many of these protesters and activists, and of course we heard them saying F Joe Biden, which is great. They should. Consistency is key. This administration has made it very clear how it feels about us. They're willing to spend billions upon billions of dollars for war, for Ukraine, Gaza, Yemen, starting some stuff up down there in Taiwan. Say it with me, what could possibly go wrong? This administration is bailing out banks and corporations that are also intertwined with the military-industrial complex. This administration has a shield wall surrounding it thanks to corporate media, same corporate media that, again, is owned by corporate donors who control our politicians. So to everyone out there protesting, you are going to have to make that choice. Are you going to fight? Are you going to be consistent? And are you going to fight the Democrats too? Because it's not just only Donald Trump and the Republicans, it's both parties. And let's say in a hypothetical scenario, Trump wins. Everyone's protesting. Everyone's out there in the streets. Are you really protesting because you stand against Trump and, oh no, he's going to do some bad things? Or are you doing it because he makes you feel bad? He triggers you in some way? Because everything that Donald Trump did during his administration, Joe Biden has also done. The only difference is Biden has that neoliberal mask and occasionally it falls off because he's senile. Whereas Trump, he had no filter. Consistency is key. People like AOC and Bernie Sanders are going to bat for Joe Biden. And the Democratic Party is also owned by AIPAC. So you have to make that choice. And if you are going to be relying on ABC or CNN or MSNBC, the New York Times or Washington Post, or any of these corporate media outlets to stand in solidarity with you, they will not. You can ask, hey, journalists, we're being repressed, we're being assaulted, we're being arrested, and all of that stuff. But you're making a mistake in thinking that those people are journalists. They're not. They're owned by corporate media. The New York Times, there was a memo that went out in which the New York Times told its staffers what words they could use. What words? Hey, look. So that means, hey, got to pull this out. Got to love it. Because I've used this book so many times, the Thesaurus. There we go. Hold on. There we go. The Thesaurus. Can't go wrong with it. New York Times told them, hey, can't use the word genocide. Hey, you can't use the word war crimes. You can't talk about the history of Palestine. That was what the New York Times was telling its quote-unquote journalists and its writers. We don't have media. This is why we need independent media. And now more than ever, we have to speak out. And we need more citizen journalists to step up. But relying on corporate media, relying on the Democrats, relying on those people in Washington, D.C., especially at that dinner event, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. If you're expecting them to do the right thing, you're going to be gravely disappointed. And it's time people waking up to the fact. It's time for us to move on and break away from it, as we should, or we should have done a long time ago.